In the Navia region you can find 54 supply pods. The first 14 can easily be found inside the small and big strongholds you can find in the map, while in this video will be covered the other 40 hidden one. Before you'll be able to obtain the first one, you need to complete a hyena base quest in the Banges area. You can find the guide for the quest linked in the description. Anyway, once done, reach the top left corner of the Navia region. To be precise, start from the training facility called the Logic. Behind it, built on top of the water, you will find a base you have to reach. In its frontal side, you will find a hyena guard you have to speak to. If you will speak with him, you will obtain a side quest called Hyena Navia Base. Now speak with him again, and if you completed the quest mentioned previously, you will be able to choose I'm here for the Hyenas Carnival. For the second option, you need to choose Hyena Queen. Next, you need to use the second option, called This is a 7th Hyena Carnival. For the next one, you have to choose again the second one, saying The Hairs of Ide of Horse. This will result in completing the quest, and you will be teleported inside the base. Using the red cistern in front of the central building, you have to reach its roof. Then turn around, and using the jetpack, reach the watchtower. Here you will find a hyena member you have to speak to. He will ask you to bring him a beautiful sizzling roast meat. To obtain it, visit the central left side of the Astra area. To be precise, start from the space rift called Shelter. From here you have to exit the shelter using the right passage. Proceeding further, staying on the left, you have to find some wild animals like the boars and the rabbits you have to kill. By doing so, from each animal you obtain a game meat. Once you found 2 of them, you have to reach the cooker NPC. One of his recipes is called the sizzling meat and is the one you have to cook. Now go back to the top left corner of the Navia area. From the training facility you will find here, you have to go behind it and reach again the hyena base. Get back up on top of the tower, then speak again with the hyena member and give him the meat. Doing so will allow you to reach the first supply pod behind him. Now reach again the entrance of the hyena base. Here, by speaking with the NPC to the right, you will find out that he wants an iced strawberry soda. To obtain it, you have to visit the central upper side of the map. To be precise, you have to start from the space rift called Raincaller Island. From its location, turn around and staying along the right overhanging, you have to find some strawberries. Here you can find 3 different plants containing 3 strawberries each you need to collect. Now go back to the space rift and this time jump downhill to the right. Here, along the mountain wall, you will find another 3 strawberry plants that will allow you to loot another 9 strawberries. Next, you have to get to the central part of the Banges area. To be precise, you have to reach the space rift called Banges Dock. From its location, turn around and go upstairs to the right. Then, on the left side from the pizza shop, you have to go upstairs again. This will lead you toward a road in front of a helicopter. On the right side from the road, you will notice a honey nest near a street light you have to destroy. This action will give you an ingredient called honey, and you will need 4 of them. For the second, turn to the right, and behind one of the trees you will see in the distance, you will find the second nest to destroy. For the next 2, you have to reach the bottom right corner of the Banges area. To be precise, you have to start from the space rift called Banges Shelter. From its location, you have to turn around, use the ramp going down, and stay along the road to the left. After leaving the shelter, you will find the 3rd nest on the right from the road and the 4th on the left, from where you have to obtain the other 2 portions of honey. At this point, you have to reach the central part of the Astra area. To be precise, you have to reach the entrance inside the ruin A01. Not far from it on the right, you will find a food merchant you have to speak to. From here you have to buy 4 bottles of carbonated water. Next, interact with the cooking station slightly to the left and enter inside the creation tab. Here you have to place 2 bottles of carbonated water, 2 portions of honey, and 11 strawberries. Then press the cooking button in order to obtain the iced strawberry soda recipe. Now go back inside the cooking menu and here find the new recipe and create 1 portion of it. Now go back to the top left corner of the Navia area where you have to reach again the training facility. from where you have to reach again the hyena base and enter inside it. Now speak again with the Morgle you will find immediately to the right in order to give him the iced strawberry soda. In exchange he will give you some console components. Now reach the central left side of the Navia area. Start from the top left entrance of the Ravager's base. Here you will find a huge ship and you have to use the passage on its left. At the end of this passage you will find a watchtower you have to access. Up here, in the opposite side of the room, you have to interact with the central computer. Then use the code 5972. Next turn around and interact with the other control panel in order to activate the device. Next, reach the central bottom side of the area. To be precise, you need to reach the small stronghold below a space rift. Here you will find another watchtower you have to access. Up here then, you have to open the mine menu and enter inside the commissary. Then, from the crystal dust store, you have to buy 2 fine gifts. Or you can do the same from the points store. For the first type of points, you have to access the adventure menu and enter inside the select tab. Here you can find several daily activities you can do using your energy points. Using the energy will give you in exchange the points for the first store. For the second type of points, you need to find any training facility that is opened. Interacting with it and completing its minigame will give you the currency for the second store. Anyway, once you was able to buy 2 small gifts, you have to open them both and obtain from them the tool set. Then immediately on the left side from the entrance of the tower, you have to repair the first generator. Then in the opposite side of the room, repair another generator. Then get out from the tower and using the panoramic passage on the right, you will find another generator to repair. Next, go back inside the tower and interacting with the mine control panel, you have to use the option device activation. At this point, it's time to reach the central right side of the Navia map, where slightly to the bottom left side from the ruin entrance, you have to reach the small stronghold. Here you will find another watchtower you have to access. If you already obtained from the hyena base the console components, you will be able to interact with the control panel and use the affix components option. Then interact with the mine control panel and use the device activation option. At this point you have to reach the central part of the map, slightly below the Navia Bay text in the map. In the middle of the water you will find a device emitting a huge laser beam up. Interact with it, then use the yes option. This will result in teleporting you above a structure where you will find 4 supply pods to loot. Also don't forget to jump on top of the central pillar, from where you will be able to obtain an SSR relic called the Colossus Arm. The next supply pod can also be found in the central part of the map. Start from the area slightly below the Navia Bay text in the map. Here you need to reach the entrance inside the ecological park. Then turn around and start going toward the bridge you will notice in the distance. Here you will find a crate sticking out from the water and nearby you will find the 6th supply pod to loot. For the 7th, reach the top right corner of the Navia map, where you have to get on top of the Omnium Tower. From here you have to jump down to the right. Next, along the tower wall, on a platform below, you will find a gold supply pod to loot. From here, you have to reach the floor below, then jump down from the overhanging toward a red tree. In front of it you will find a stone you have to destroy with normal weapons in order to reveal the next supply pod to loot. The 9th is also in the top right corner of the map, but this time you have to start from the training facility slightly to the left side from the Omnium Tower. From its location turn around and reach the stone overhanging on the left. Now you need to use the jetpack in order to reach the cables in front of you and then go to the left. After the second joint you will find the 9th supply pod to loot. For the 10th it's time to get to the central right side of the map. To be precise, you have to reach the small stronghold slightly to the bottom left from a ruin. On the right side of the watchtower here you will notice another smaller tower with several cables connected to it. Well, you have to go on top of the right cables. Somewhere on the lower side of this cable you will find a gold supply pod to loot. For the 11th, you have to continue exploring the central right side of the map. This time though you have to reach the entrance inside the ruin C02. From where then you have to turn to the right and use the passage along the right mountain wall. After some blue plants you will find a dark rock you have to destroy using normal weapons in order to reveal the next supply pod to loot. For the 12th, go back to the entrance of the ruin Caesar 2. Then turn around and get on top of the smaller overhanging. Proceed further using the passage between the mountain walls until you will reach the next green hill. Here you need to proceed straight forward and jump downhill. This will allow you to find near the next overhanging a pod hidden under some thorn vines. By attacking it with a fire weapon, you will free up the supply pod that now you can loot. For the 13th, you have to reach the central upper side of the map. To be precise, you need to use the space rift called the Cetus Island. From here on the left, you have to use the passage that will guide you toward the central building of this area. Using its rope, you have to get on top of the roof, then, using the jetpack, get close to the central star. Up here, you will find the next supply pod to loot. For the 14th, from up here, you have to use the jetpack in order to reach the other building similar to this one. Now proceed further toward the 3 yellow trees. In the middle between them, you will find a gold supply pod to loot. Now turn around and reach the spherical buildings you will notice on the right. Inside the central building, you will find the 15th supply pod. In the central upper side of the map, now you have to go back to the Cetus Island Space Rift. Behind it you will find several balloons and you have to use the passage behind them. From up here on the left side you have to reach a triangular platform. Then look down to the right where you will find another platform to reach. At its beginning you will find the 16th supply pod to loot. For the 17th you have to reach the top left corner of this map. To be precise, you will need to use a space rift called Rhine Collar Island. Now turn around and behind the ruin you have to use the left green passage. Staying on the left you will get in front of a truck and you have to defeat the enemies nearby. Then interact with its door and use the password 3344. This will open the door, allowing you to reach the next supply pod inside. For the 18th you have to go back to the Rhine Collar Island Space Rift. This time though, after turning around, reach the right side of the ruin. Then check behind the small tree on the right, where you will find a pod covered with some thorn vines. You have to attack it with a fire weapon in order to uncover the 18th supply pod that now you can loot. Next, you have to turn around and jump downhill toward the hyena base you will notice in the distance. Next, exploring the left shores, you will find a treasure guard you have to defeat in order to be able to loot the next supply pod nearby. For the next two, it's time to reach the bottom left corner of the map. To be precise, reach the right entrance of the Ravager's base. Enter inside it and then use the left passage from the central structure. After you will reach the watchtower, use the road going to the left. Immediately after turning to the left, check the stone overhanging to the right. Here, not far from some red and blue plants, you will find a pod covered with the thorn vines. Free it up using the fire weapon, then loot it. Now, staying along the overhanging, go to the left until you will notice a gold nucleus below. You will need to jump toward it in order to get on top of the stone pillar here and loot the gold supply pod you will find there. Time to move to the central upper side of the map, where below the Cetus Island Space Rift you have to reach the training facility. From here, turn around and use the road going uphill to the left. After reaching the turn, you have to look to the left. This will allow you to find a pillar and at its base you have to defeat a treasure guard. Then use the two side platforms and immediately after use the jetpack in order to reach the top of the pillar. Up here you will find the 22nd supply pod to loot. For the 23rd, jump down from this structure toward the red tree to the left. In the middle between the trees you will find a stone you have to destroy using a regular weapon. This will reveal the 23rd supply pod that now you can loot. For the 24th, it's time to reach the bottom right corner of the map. To be precise, you need to reach the South 7th Day Forest Space Rift. Behind the Space Rift, at the beginning of the passage going uphill to the right, you have to start climbing on top of the mountain. Once you will get all the way up here, turn to the left and defeat the treasure guard in front of a tower. Then, using the jetpack, get on top of its mine platform where you will find the next supply pod to loot. Now jump down from the tower, looking toward the ecological park. Next explore the upper overhanging, staying on the left side. This will allow you to find a pod covered with the thorn vine you have to free with a fire weapon, then you will be able to loot the 25th supply pod. For the 26th, go to the right and use the passage on the left side from the mountain wall. At the end of this passage on the left, you have to defeat a treasure guard in order to be able to loot a gold supply pod behind it. For the 27th, turn to the right and jump downhill toward the waterfall. Check behind the stone shores of the waterfall on top of the green area. This will allow you to find a pod covered with the thorn vine you have to free using a fire weapon in order to obtain the 27th supply pod. For the 28th, it's time to reach the central bottom side of the map. Here you will need to reach the top left entrance of the Hellish secret base, from where you have to turn to the right and pass through an arch. This will allow you to find at the end of a platform the 28th supply pod to loot. For the 29th, jump over the fence and reach the left corner of the mountain wall. Here you will find a dark stone you have to destroy in order to reveal the next supply pod to loot. For the 13th, you have to reach the bottom left corner of the map. To be precise, you need to start from the space rift called North 7th Day Forest. Immediately behind the space rift you will find a track, and in front of it you have to defeat several enemies. Then interact with the entrance of the track and use the code 2202. As a result, the door will be opened and you will be able to enter inside and loot the 13th supply pod you will find there. For the 31st supply pod, start from the entrance of the track. Next, turn to the left and use the passage along the mountain wall. Up ahead, you will notice a green tree that you have to reach. At its base, you will find the next supply pod to loot. For the 32nd, you have to reach the bottom right corner of the map. To be precise, reach the entrance of the ruin C01. From here, turn around and reach the watchtower you will notice on the right. While on the left, you have to find the treasure guard that you have to defeat. Then get on top of the tower in order to be able to loot the 32nd supply pod. For the 33rd, turn around and reach the ruin covered with the green moss. Behind it, on top of the first floor of the collapsed building, you will find the supply pod to loot. For the 34th, you have to reach the area all the way to the bottom right corner of the Navia region. Here, at the borders with the Banges area, you have to reach the destroyed device. You will find it on top of the overhanging, from where you have to jump down and use the jetpack. Glide yourself on top of the platform you will notice on the left. Here, above the first support, you will find the supply pod to loot. Now look toward the overhanging and glide yourself toward the broken highway. Near its margins you will find the 35th supply pod to loot. For the 36th, you need to reach the top right corner of the Banges area. To be precise, you need to start from the space rift called the Mate Margus. From the space rift you have to turn to the right. Then reach the two pillars in front of the tent where you have to defeat a treasure guard. Next, on top of one of the pillars you will be able to loot the supply pod you came for. For the 37th, reach the bottom right corner of the Navia region. To be precise, get in front of the training facility called Memory. From its location turn around and reach the rock formation sticking out from the ground. At its base on the right, you will find a pod covered with some thorn vines you have to remove using a fire weapon. This will allow you to loot the 37th supply pod. For the 38th, go to the left, and at the base of a tower you have to defeat a treasure guard. Once done, get on top of the watchtower and you will be able to loot the supply pod you came for. From the watchtower now you have to go toward the small pond you will find on the left. After reaching the other shores, you have to enter inside the turbine you will notice on the right. Inside it you will find the 39th supply pod. For the 14th, get out from the turbine, turn around and reach the left overhanging going up. At the beginning of it, you have to destroy a rock formation in order to reveal the 14th supply pod that now you can collect.